Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to say Kah Halal Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakah Kwadash. It's all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles that labored in this truth before me and taught me this truth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect, right? Today, I'm just going to be talking about scoffers, sellouts, and a rebellious people, man. You know, scoffers, sellouts, and a rebellious people. Because, the children of Israel, the so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, who are the true biblical Israelites scattered to the four corners of the earth, right? They're a very rebellious people, man. You know, and our rebellion has caused us to be in a foreign land, serving our enemies with speaking an oppressor's tongue, with the oppressor's last names, and no no remembrance of our actual heritage, which is a biblical curse. When you get that Jeremiah 17 and 4, I believe. Yeah, let's get it real quick. Jeremiah 17 and 4 is like, it says, "And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever," right? So our people are scattered, and we serve our enemies in lands where we have lost our heritage. Why are we doing that? Because we're rebellious people, a stiff-necked people, man. Children with no faith, right? That pissed off the Most High on multiple occasions, man, because we refuse to hearken unto His voice, right? So now we're in this predicament, you know what I'm saying? And the only way out is to hearken, and the Most High God sent His men, the prophets, to teach the children of Israel, right? And our people, they refuse to listen. This is the book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 7. It says, "Surely the Lord Yahweh will do nothing, but He revealeth His secrets unto the servants, the prophets." So in these last days, when it's time for the children of Israel to come back, the Most High God is going to send His prophets, men with authority, to speak unto you and to warn you, right? To warn you of these charlatans that come. They didn't come through the straight gate, right? Because, Yahweh Shai, when he was in the world, first you had John the Baptist that set up the road for Yahweh Shai to come. Then Yahweh Shai came and set up men to teach the children of Israel. It's the same thing that happened now. It tells you in the book of Malachi that before the destruction, before the end times, guess what? John the Baptist had to come back again, right? To pave the way for Yahweh Shai, right? To set things back in order, right? So there's a correct doctrine that's pushed out, that had to have been pushed out, because that's what the prophecy says, man. There had to have been a correct doctrine and a right way to do it that was pushed out, and we learned this from our elders, man. But our people are so rebellious that the teachers, even they refuse to hearken, right? They'll get a little piece of the truth. Now they want to go do their own thing so they can feed their own bellies, man. Right, so they can get rich, so they can fatten their pockets, instead of doing the simple thing is teach what was taught, and then build upon that foundation. Right, you don't go learn the ABCs and then change the whole alphabet. It don't make no sense, man. No, you build words based off the alphabet that you have, man. Right, and these niggas, they try to change the whole entire alphabet, or they just learned they're Israelite off of YouTube, and then they decided that they're a teacher, right? They didn't sit up under nobody. They didn't come up the right way, because you look at the men in the Bible, all of them had teachers, right? Matter of fact, let's get this in the book of Romans, the 10th chapter, right? It says, How then shall they call on Him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in Him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? Right, verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things, right? So the men teaching the gospel, the true gospel, are going to be sent. And you can't learn the true gospel unless you're taught. Right? First you're taught, then you go out and teach. That's why the 12 were disciples first, and then they became apostles, right? And the word apostle just means sent out or sent forth, right? So you can't skip steps, man. You skip steps, now your spirit is malnurtured and you coming up with all these bugged out doctrines. You talk about the book of Jasher, the book of Enoch, when the elders have told us, hey, those books aren't right. And then when you listen to what they say and you go check them out for yourself, you realize, yeah, they're correct. These books are supposed to be from thousands and thousands of years old, but the manuscript that they're actually, there is no original manuscript. There's bits and pieces, and then the people that are writing it come from a whole nother time period, and there's stuff in those books that contradict the actual scriptures, right? So the elders and apostles told us, hey, they taught us how to discern sound doctrine, and Yahweh Shai did the same thing, right? He told you that the doctrine he teaches of him is of his father. It's not of him. The doctrine he teaches is of his father, right? And people that learn his doctrine, they'll be able to discern whether a message is from the Most High or if it's a doctrine of devils, right? Main example, Christianity, man. Anybody telling you can do whatever you want, there's no such thing, the law is done away with, they're obviously deceived because it's simple. In the scriptures, it tells you, right? 1 John 3 and 4. It says, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. This is the New Testament telling you that sin is the transgression of the law. And we know sinners, right? People that live in the lifestyle of sin aren't going to inherit the kingdom of heaven, right? You can't be a willful sinner. Just you don't even care about repentance. You're just going to, commit all the sins you want because you believe the law is done away with, right? Let's get that. Sin. All right, I thought it was Hebrews 10. All right, let's get this. In Hebrews 10 and 26, right, it says, for if we sin willfully, after that we received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. Right? So, if we're going to avoid this condemnation, right, we received the truth, now we want to stop. We don't want to sin willfully. Right? It's one thing if we stumble. It's one thing if we do it unknowingly. But to willfully just say, hey, the law's done away with, so I'm going to eat whatever I want. No, bro. It tells you right here. We just read that the transgression of the law is sin. Dietary law is part of the law, right? So it's a sin to eat just anything. You eat an abomination. You eat pork, shrimp, crab, lobster. All these are bottom dwellers, right? And Christianity is telling you, oh, that's fine because, Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, died so you can do whatever you want. So can you be on the alphabet team? Can you have same-sex relations? No, they'll tell you no. Most Christians that are that have, two brain cells will tell you that you can't do that. But where do you find that? In the law, right? So that's the main, see, if you follow in Yahweh Shai's doctrine, the doctrine of the Messiah, you're going to know when you're being taught a doctrine of devils, man. Right? Just look at the Christians, look at their ministry, man. They'll never go into the prophecies. Why? Because they can't break the prophecies down. They ain't got the spirit. All right, so let's get to this. Ezekiel, the 2nd chapter and verse 3. It says, and he said unto me, son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that hath rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. Right? So like I'm saying, man, the children of Israel, these so-called black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, just a rebellious people that were sent out to teach to. Right? Verse 4, for they are impotent. They are impotent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh. And they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall Yet shall know that there hath been a prophet among them, right? And how you gonna know that there's been prophets among you? When we come out and tell you that MOT is this, the MOTB is this, right? Like, hey man, don't take that microchip. That's the mark. Don't do it, right? And when they implement it and make it mandatory, you will know, hey, there's been a prophet among you, man. You know, the Hebrew Israelites are the only one out here identifying the 12 tribes of Israel, man. The so-called Jewish man, the small hat, he don't care. He talk about there's 10 lost tribes. How is there 10 lost tribes? And the prophecy said when the children of Israel go back to the land, it's going to be both the northern and the southern kingdom, right? It's simple, man. Line upon line, precept upon precept. That's how this Bible works. It's a puzzle that has to fit together perfectly, right? You can tell that people don't got the truth because they doctrine be disjointed, man. They don't be making no sense. They gotta lie, right? They gotta tell lies and make up things. But if you watching a brother that's in the spirit, he's going straight to the scriptures, line upon line. You get what I'm saying? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and verse 8. It says, now go, write it before them in a table and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. Right? Verse 9, that this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of Yahweh. Right? We were just talking about the law. Man, we know you can't keep the law perfectly, but you still got to keep it to the best of your ability. The things that you can do, you should be doing. You know what I mean? You don't got to buy pork. There's other options, man. You don't got to celebrate Christmas, Valentine's Day, all these other things. The Most High God has his own holy days. Why would you neglect the Most High God, Yahweh? Why would you neglect his holy days and celebrate the holidays of the world? It makes no sense, man. It's madness, right? But it says, hey, this is children that will not hear the law of Yahweh, right? Because our people hate discipline. They want to be able to freely do whatever abomination they want to do, man. They don't give a shit, right? They don't care that the Most High God is pissed with them every day because they have become a worker of iniquity. They don't care about that, right? All they care about is how they feel, man. It's a damn shame, right? Verse 10, which say to the seers, see not, and the prophets prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits, right? And our people love lies, man. They love a lie, and when you tell them the truth, that's not enough for them, man. They want some more jazz to it. Like, our people love sizzle and they hate steak, right? The steak is what's going to sustain you. Sizzle, that's nothing, man. There's no nutritious value for sizzle, right? Steak comes with the protein, man, with the vitamins and minerals you need, right? That's going to nourish you and keep you going. Sizzle is only for a moment. That's why a lot of people fizzle out of the truth, right? Because they didn't go and get the sincere milk, and then they didn't get the real meat, right? They was all about the sizzle, man, all about the bells and whistles, right? Instead of just falling in love with the truth, man. Fall in love with the fundamentals. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be great at any sport, anything you do, guess what? You gotta master the fundamentals. Right? Our people hate discipline. That's why they don't have the time to sit and learn the fundamentals. They want to dribble between their legs before they even learn how to dribble. Right? They want to shoot a three-pointer before they even learn how to make a layup. That's our people's problem, man. But if you built that house from the ground up with a solid foundation, guess what? You're going to be a monster in this truth, and you be mighty in these scriptures and wise unto salvation. You know what I mean? If it be the Lord's will that you be of that number. Right, but it all starts with building that foundation, right? Building off that chief cornerstone, because Yahweh Shai is that chief cornerstone, and he came and gave the men of the Lord the correct doctrine that we needed for salvation, man. Right? And people will say, well, none of us have 100% truth. That can't be true, because you know what I mean, Yahweh Shai said he's going to send you the comforter that will show you all things that was revealed to him by the Father. Right? So he's going to give us everything we need for salvation, man. You know? And a lot of these people have that mindset of not having the 100% truth. That's leaven. Right? And a little leaven the whole lump, man. You know, when you have that little bit of leaven in there, you might sound right, 9 out of 10 times, but that last part, it throws you off so much that, hey, man, that could cost you salvation. Right? So it's imperative, hey, you should listen to the men that labored before you, that learned from the men that labored before them. It's simple. You know, Most High does everything decently and in order. Right? That's enough on that. Let's get Romans, the 11th chapter. Right? It says, what then? Israel hath not attained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath attained it, and the rest were blinded. Right? So a lot of people, they're not going to be able to get this truth because it wasn't meant for them to get this truth. They were born into the lot of a scoffer, and of an agent, of a sellout, or just of a rebellious Negro or Latino, man. You know what I mean? This truth ain't for everybody. It's for the elect, bro. But that's why we out here laboring so that we can seal the elect, right? And hopefully, Lord willing, we be of that number. So let's get Isaiah 60. I'll start at verse 1. It says, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and the gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee, right? And, you know what I mean? A lot of our people are in gross darkness, man. And darkness is covering this whole world. It's not just our people, you know. Even these Edomites, these Moabites, these Ammonites, all these people, all these different nations, they're covered in darkness, man. They can't see the wickedness of America, right? Our people can't see the wickedness of these teachers that got their Cash App, their PayPal, every form of payment plastered all over their video, right? Selling breakdowns, selling prayers, selling Hebrew names. Our people can't discern that these people are charlatans, right? They're making merchandise of the ministry. They make excuses and excuses. And I was once one of those people. But then when you see these people's fruits manifest completely, you realize, hey, man, the elders is right. And you start to listen more to the elders. See, the Most High God will set things up to sharpen you up, right? You learn from the shit that these other people were doing and realize, oh, yeah, they were wrong. Let me switch up how I was doing things, right? Let me drop some of this pride, right? Let me learn the true way to operate in this ministry, right? Everything happens for a reason, man. Everything's done for the benefit of the Most High God's movie, man, to glorify him, man. And you just gotta be blessed. Be thankful that you have your sound mind, that you can correct yourself, man. You can take an examination of yourself, and you're not too prideful to take rebuke. A lot of these niggas in these so-called Israelites, man, people calling themselves Israelites, man, they can't take no rebuke, man. You know, as soon as you rebuke them, man, they turn into bitches real quick. Super emotional. They trying to expose people, you know what I mean? Instead of just, hey, man, taking their lashings and getting back to it, right? Let's get this in the book. This is 2 Peter 3, and I'm starting verse 1. It says, this second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance, that ye may be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets, and of the commandments of us, the apostles of the Lord and Savior. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation, right? And this is a deep couple verses right here, because it's going into multiple things, man. We got these atheists, man. You a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American, you atheist? That just sounds crazy, man. We the most spiritual people, and you can examine the world and know that there's a God, man. You look at the intricacy of our bodies, man. How perfectly our bodies work, right? How everything is in tune with that's obviously an intelligent design. So to not believe in a God, to just be an atheist is crazy, man. You know what I mean? But it says, at the last days, there shall be scoffers walking after their own lust. That's these people that are obsessed with changing the doctrine, trying to sound deeper than they are. But when you really break down what they're saying, you realize these dudes don't have no light in them, man. Right? You're just a goofy that's, well, I won't say you're goofy, but you've been deceived, right? And you're believing every word of these that comes out of these people's mouth. You become a fan instead of a student, right? A student is going to learn and examine the doctrine, right? And prove it to make sure that it's, you know what I mean, it's edible, right? These people are giving you impossible burgers. Man, these dudes are giving you lab-grown meat, right? And they didn't even finish growing it all the way. It's half cooked. They go present it to you, and then when they find out there's problems, they correct it as they're going, man. No, hey, our elders will learn from the elders that were learning before, like back in the 60s, 70s, right? And before that, hey, they were learning before they came into the full truth. They knew that they were Israelites, especially Abba Bivens. He was in a group called the Commandment Keepers, right? He was studying the Torah. He finally put it together that the Torah, the Tanakh, and the New Testament all went together, right? In the Apocrypha, all 80 books, and taught the pure doctrine, right? It took a maturation process. But these guys, they put stuff in the microwave. They've been the truth 5, 10 years, maybe 15 years. They think that, that the Most High God is only dealing with them. No, man, you're walking after your own lust because you want to glorify yourself, right? Or you sell out for a bag, man. That's the same thing. You want your kingdom on this side. That's a problem, man. The Most High is going to deal with you. Right, let's see what else I got. Let's go to Titus 1, verse 9, right? It says, holding fast the faithful word as he hath been taught, that he may be able by sound doctrine both to exhort and to convince the gainsayers, right? But hey, it's talking about the word that you were taught, man. That's what you're supposed to teach, right? How can you learn except you have a teacher, right? You have to have a teacher so that you can learn these scriptures properly, right? And then you go out and teach what you've been taught. Not you, you learn from somebody. Now you like, yeah, scrap all that. I'm coming up with my own doctrine. No, that's wrong, bro. You get what I'm saying? That's just, that don't even make no sense. It's not even like you building upon the foundation. You just scrapping whole things and completely changing, completely remixing it. Like the Most High God came to you in a dream. Right? Verse 10. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially though they of the circumcision, right? Verse 11, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake, right? Trying to make yourself seem deep, like talking about you don't gotta listen to the Apostle Paul. We don't know who wrote the book of Hebrews. We don't gotta listen to Hebrews, man. What the hell's wrong with you, bro? You bugged out, man. All right, and we see what happened to the men that were teaching such things. Right, they get exposed on the main stage in front of the whole congregation. Why? Because they had a prideful spirit. That was the Most High hates a prideful spirit. Right, and you telling you trying to rebuke and discredit a man that was called a chosen vessel of Yahweh Shai, man. Like, you're bugged out, bro. Get it together. Get some help, man. All right, this is the book of 1 Timothy 4 and verse 1. It says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, taking heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, right? One of the main doctrines of devils, man, is Christianity, Catholicism, right? Where, these priests are, they got their own Epstein Islands, man. You know what I'm saying? Telling you can do whatever you want, man. A major feminine spirit going on in the Christian church, man. Right, so moving on. Hold up. Slot. So yeah, all right, verse 2. Speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. Right? And these dudes will go change the doctrine knowing that they lying, man. Or they'll teach something they don't believe in, still lying and moving in hypocrisy. Right? Because their conscience is seared, man. Their conscience is dead, right? They're not moving in the spirit, right? And that's it on that. Let's get 1 John 2 and 8. 1 John 2 and 18. Right, little children, this is the book of 1 John chapter 2 and verse 18. Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists, right? That's a cut on these Christians talking about there's going to be some guy in a red suit with a goatee that controls the whole world. No, there's many Antichrists, right? Back in the time of Yahushua, there's many Antichrists, man. It's people that are against the Messiah, right? That like these Old Testament onlys, man. They're against the Messiah. They don't have a covering for their sin because they can't go sacrifice an animal for their sin, right? And on top of that, man, you didn't committed so many sins unto death just by missing the Sabbath, right? You had to wake up, so all those sins have to be accounted for. How are those sins washed away? Through the Messiah, man. Right? The Messiah is crucial. If you don't believe in the Messiah, you're an Antichrist. If you're teaching against the doctrine, you're an Antichrist. Like these Christians, man, these Christians are anti-Messiahs, right? They hate the Messiah for real, right? They don't like what the prophecies say, how he's gonna come back, and it's gonna be a bloody day, right? You get Isaiah 66 and 15, man. He's coming back with a flame of fire, man, and bringing destruction. The major place that destruction is going to go down, Mystery Babylon the Great, which is America. All right, it says, whereby we know that it is the last time. Verse 19, they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us, right? So, hey, there's people that are sold out, that became scoffers, that went back in the world. They were never with us, man. You can't be shedding tears for these dudes, bro. They gonna get hit by nukes and they'll get right in the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Verse 20, but ye have an unction one from the Holy One, and ye know all things. Right? So that's like we was talking about earlier, man. People talking about, oh, you can't have the 100% truth. Oh, yeah, you can. Because the 100% truth is based off the prophecies. Right? You should know the prophecies, right? Let's get this. Right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 24. I'm going to start at 32. It says, I will yet make doctrine to shine as the morning, and will send forth her light afar off. Verse 33, I will yet pour out doctrine as prophecy, and leave it to all ages forever. Right? Behold, that I have not labored for myself only, but for all them that seek wisdom. Right? But what's the point? His doctrine is going to be poured out as prophecy. Right? And we know the prophets are going to be here in the last days. Man, he tells you that in Revelation 18. Revelation 18 and 20. Right? Because when you go up here to verse 4, it says, what does it say? It says, you go to verse 2, I'm going to skip around. It says, Revelation 18 and 2, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen. It's fallen and have become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Right? Verse 3, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Right? Because America is a major importer, right? The merchants are selling to America, right? And they influence the whole world, right? How do they do that? 3 places in America. You got New York, the financial capital, right? And the U.S. dollar is pretty much what everybody trades off. Where at one point it was the strongest currency, right? You got D.C. with their laws and their policies that they're spreading around. The westernized mindset is being spread everywhere. What you got? White supremacy. You got the Enlightenment, Renaissance, all those ways of thought that spring out of Rome, right? That spring out of that Edomite philosophy that's being permeated in the earth, right? NATO, the EU, and America are trying to force people into their way of thinking, right? And even with the homosexuality, the transgender alphabet lifestyle, all this stuff is being pushed through America. Their wine is their doctrine, and they're pushing that throughout the world, right? Verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and not receive and that ye receive not her plagues, right? So this is talking about the deliverance, right? Because you go to Revelation 11, it tells you that the elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3 are going to be beamed out of America, right? They're going to be brought up into a cloud. Their enemies shall behold them, right? But when you jump down to verse 20, right, what does it say? Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh hath avenged you on her, right? So Mystery Babylon is going to have apostles and prophets in during that time, and we're in that time. This is Mystery Babylon, right? This is the 8th head of that 7-headed dragon. This is the little horn that sprung up out of the Roman Empire, right? This Mystery Babylon is America, right? So, the Most High God says he's going to pour out his doctrine as prophecy. The prophets are here teaching and preaching on the street corners, right? So it will behoove you to learn from these men, right? To learn the proper doctrine so that you can eat that roll and go out and teach the children of Israel, right? Regardless of affiliations in camp, man. It's just about teaching the correct doctrine. And it's simple, man. It's simple. Let's get this in 2 Timothy, the 4th chapter and verse 2. It reads, preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. There's that word doctrine again, man. What's it say in the NLT? It says good teaching, right? Verse 3, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, right? And these people that want to be known as scholars, right? They want to be known as scholars of this world. But you look at Yahushua and his men; those were ordinary men. Yahushua was a carpenter. They was amazed that he knew everything he knew because he wasn't learned in the letters, right? But how are they learned? Through the Holy Spirit, which is more powerful than any PhD, right? It's a paraphrase and said, I'll give you a mouth that you shall not be confounded. Easiest way to confound a Christian, go into the prophecies. Easiest way to confound a bugged out Israelite, go into the prophecies. They're not going to know, man. They're not going to be able to go line upon line, precept upon precept. They might explain one part of the prophecy, but that's why the Most High God does things decently and ordered by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Why each prophet is going to see something a certain way, and it's going to be written in each of their books, right? So if he says something, it says something about something in the book of Revelation, well, okay, let's pull that up in the book of Isaiah. Let's pull that up in Ezekiel, right? You can't explain all this away, right? It has to go together like a puzzle. When you change one thing, something else is disjointed. And the point of being mighty in these scriptures is so you can discern who hasn't been sent, right? So we can give our people the proper medicine that they need, which is sound doctrine, man. We can't have itching ears. Let's look at this word for itching ears, right? Having itching. Desirous of hearing something pleasant, right? What's the word? Kinetho, right? Desirous of hearing something pleasant. That's our people, man. They want to hear something. They want to hear the new thing. They don't want to just, hey, I had a coach that told me you never get bored doing it the right way. Our people don't want to just do it the right way. They want to be entertained. You know what I'm saying? Entertainment is the most important thing to our people, and that's the problem, man. We got to get up out of that spirit, right? Verse 4, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables, right? What's a fable? this mystical place called hell where you burn forever under the ground. That comes from Greek mythology. Our people didn't believe in that, right? Because even when Yahweh Shai was on the scene, they were asking him who he was. They're asking him, are you Elijah? Are you one of the other prophets? Are you this person? Why? Because our people believed in regeneration, reincarnation, right? You come back, your spirit, once you die, your body turns to dust, and your spirit returns to the Father. Then it comes back, right? Let's get this in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, right? It says, "Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it." Right? So there is no mystical place under the earth called hell. You know what I mean? Your spirit returns to the Father, right? And then it comes back down, right? Let's get this. Place of judgment. Right? Because your spirit returns to the Father, and then you come back to the earth and you face your judgment, right? Ecclesiastes 3:16 says, "And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there." Right? So we just read that when you die, your body turns to dust, it decomposes, goes back to the earth. Your spirit returns to the Father. And then under the sun, on the earth, is the place of judgment. Right? That's why you get in John 9:1, it says, "And as Yahushua passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And the disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Right? But the point is, if this man was blind from birth, why would they ask if he sinned to cause him to be blind? Because what we just read, under the sun is the place of judgment. Right? So, hey, man, we got to stop believing fables. No, we go by what the scriptures say. Man, we're not reading the book of Enoch. It's talking about 50,000-foot men having sex with regular women. No, you gotta have the spirit to discern this book, because it's written in similitudes. It's not written so anybody can just pick it up and understand it, right? Let's get that actually in Hosea. I believe Hosea, the 12th chapter. Right. Hosea 12:10 says, "I have spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets." Right. There we go again. He speaks by the prophets. The prophets have to be here in the last days, man. And what are the prophets going to be doing in the last days? Let's get that after this, right? Similitudes. Dema, to be like, resemble, liken, compare. Right? So, hey, the Most High God, he's going to speak. It's going to be coded. It's only for the initiated. Right? Let's get this in Jeremiah 28th chapter real quick. 28:8. It says, "The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence." What are we telling you, man? That destruction is coming to America, Babylon the Great. The Christian church is not doing this. The Christian church is preaching a prosperity doctrine. They're not telling you what the mark of the beast is. They're not telling you about the thermonuclear destruction that's spoken of throughout the whole scriptures, right? They're not telling you about what Yahweh Shai is going to be doing on his return. No, they're telling you to sow a seed of whatever they be saying, man. Give me $1,000 so I can buy I can drive a double R, man. That's what the Christian church is all about, right? Feeling good, clapping, playing tambourines and shit like that. Nah, man. We come out here to give you the 100% unadulterated truth, bro. That's what the whole ministry is about, right? What was I about to get? Shit. Oh yeah. I believe it's Mark 13. Is it Mark 13? Alright, is it Matthew 13? I just want to get the word for mystery, right? Right, so this is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 13, in verse 10. It says, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given, right? So, hey, man, let's get this word for mysteries, because, you know what I mean, Yahweh put it plainly, bro. It's not for these people to get it. It's spoken in similitudes, right? It's spoken in code, and it's given to the prophets, right? Amos 3:7. He will do nothing, but he reveals his secrets to his servants, the prophets, right? And this word mystery in the Greek is mysterion, right? What does it say? Hidden thing, secret, mystery. Generally mysteries, religious secrets confided only to the initiated and not to ordinary mortals, man. Right? So this stuff is spiritually discerned, right? The natural man's not going to get it. You Christians that believe that the law is done away with, like, that's one of the simplest things, right? If the law is done away with, what is sin? You can't explain it. You're confounded on the milk, right? You're confounded on a simple, that's not even a mystery. That's just a simple fundamental of this Bible. What? The Torah, man. The Torah, right? And then you try to tell us what the name of the Lord is. No, bro. The Most High gave his name to the elders through the Spirit, right? But see, Christians won't believe that. You people of the world won't believe that. Why? Because you don't have faith. You get what I'm saying? You read this whole book and you truly don't believe it, man. You don't believe in the power of the Most High God Yahweh, that he would wake up his people in his last days and raise up prophets. All right, so let's get this in Leviticus 10, because there's a common misconception. People think you can just teach whatever you want, do whatever you want. No, man. The Most High God has order, right? There's an order to everything. And we, you know what I mean? We got to make sure to the best of our ability that we're keeping that order and teaching correctly, right? Teaching the doctrine that the Most High gave his son, right? Matter of fact, let's get that really quick. Right, this is the book of St. John, chapter 7, and verse 16. Oh, I'll start at 15. It says, now, St. John 7, I'll start at 14. Now, about the midst of the feast, Yahushua went up into the temple and taught. And the Jews marveled, saying, how knoweth this man letters, having never learned, right? He didn't go to a Bible school. He didn't go to a seminary, right? He doesn't have a PhD, a bachelor's, a doctorate. He don't got none of that. How does he know all these things, man? Through the Spirit, right? Verse 16, Yahushua answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his who sent me, right? If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of the Most High or whether I spoke of myself, right? And matter of fact, let's go to John, the 6th chapter, and I believe 44, right? Because, hey, if you truly believe this Bible, right, you're gonna measure everything by the prophecies, right? You're not gonna just go off of what some dude told you because he's wearing a suit and tie, or he's got a bunch of subscribers. No, you're gonna go off based off the scriptures. You're gonna go line upon line, precept upon precept, right? This is the book of St. John, chapter 6, and verse 43. It says, Yahushua therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. Right? It's telling you right here, you know what I mean, the true followers of Yahushua, of the Messiah, are going to be risen up in the last days. Christianity's been around like what, 500 years? Why hasn't the end come? You know what I mean? They got all the numbers. It says, you read Revelation 7, it says 144,000 have to be sealed. There's way more than that, right? So it tells you that tells you right now that they don't got the truth. We're waiting for something else, right? Verse 45, it is written in the prophets, and they shall be taught of the Most High. Every man, therefore, that hath heard and hath learned of the Father cometh unto me, right? But the men that are teaching the truth, where are they going to learn that? From the Father, through the Spirit. Right? It's all about faith. You know what I mean? So let's get this Leviticus 10th chapter, right? Go back on the point I was saying, man. Hey, there's a right way to do things. There's a wrong way to do it. Man, make sure you're on the right side of history, man. And Leviticus 10:1 says, and Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put fire therein and put incense thereon and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from Yahweh and devoured them, and they died before Yahweh, right? But hey, actually I'll read verse 3. It says, then Moses said unto Aaron, This is it that Yahweh spake, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me, and before all the people I will be glorified. And Aaron held his peace. All right, let's get this word for sanctified. Quadash, right? To consecrate, sanctify, prepare, dedicate, be hallowed, be holy, be separate, right? To be honored, be treated as sacred, right? And when you're teaching this word, you're doing, like, now we're priests after the order of Melchizedek. When you're doing priestly work, right, that work is sacred. So it's important that you mind what you say, that you teach the truth, right? Not that you just say, oh, well, through the Spirit I did this, through the Spirit I did that. Hey, beloved, believe not every spirit, man. Let's get that. 1 John, the 4th chapter, I believe, 4:1. Yeah. 1 John 4:1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are the Most High, because many false prophets are gone out into the world, right? And you follow in your heart, man. The heart is deceitful and wicked above all things. Who can know it? Stop doing that bullshit, man. Try the spirit by the Spirit, brother. Hey, man, that's pretty much all I got to say. Hey, watch out for these scoffers, these sellouts, and, these rebellious people, man. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Until next time, Shalom.